Hey, this is Mr. Beckstrom, and today I want to take a look at an example from section 5.1. This is looking at a frequency table, and from that frequency table, finding the mean and finding the standard deviation. So, the one thing about the frequency table is that instead of listing all of the values like we would, like let's say if we asked um, 20 people how many siblings they had, and we just listed 20 different values. We're going to list each each separate value only once, each unique value only once, and then we're going to, under frequency, we're going to list the number of times that occurs. So for example, out of those 20 people, if 7 of them had 2 siblings, for the number 2, we would put a 7 over there for the frequency. And if 5 of them had 1 sibling, for the number 5, we would put 1 for the frequency. So that's why we use a frequency table, so we can list the data value only once, and then we can list how many times that data value occurs. So in order to find the mean using a frequency table is equal to, you're going to take the sum of all of your data values times the frequencies, because, for example, if the number 3 happens 5 times, you just take 3 times 5, which is 15, right? Because if 3 happens 5 times, it would be 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. It's just multiplication. So you're going to take each data value, you're going to multiply it by its frequency, and then you're going to, this is the summation symbol, that means then you're going to sum all of those together, and then finally we're going to divide by all of those frequencies, right? Because that's going to be the total number of data values that we have, is the sum of all of those frequencies. All right, so this is how we find it. So really, we just have to start filling this in, and then we'll be able to get enough information in order to find the standard deviation here at the end. So let's do this one together. All right, so the first thing is, this is the summation symbol. So what's the sum of all the frequencies? 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 4 is 11, plus 1 is 12. So that is 12. Now, what is this times this? So 2 times 3 is 6. I'm going to do that for each row. 12, 16. 5 times 1 is 5. And 6 times 0 is 0. All right, so now I have all of these values. Double check those. Look good. Now I want to add all those together. So I am going to get my calculator here. And just 6 plus 12 plus 16 plus 5. That's going to be 39. So 39. So in this case, my mean, which is actually my sample mean, is going to be 39 divided by 5, which is equal to, and pulling back out my calculator, 39 divided by, oops, not 5, excuse me, 12. I don't know where I got that 5 from. 39 divided by the sum of my frequencies, 12, is equal to, go back up here, 39 divided by 12 is equal to 3.25. So that is going to be my mean. So 3.25. 3.25. All right, now I can start doing all of these boxes. So this is the data value, the x, which is this column, minus my mean, which is this value right here. So 2 minus 3.25, so if I want to use your calculator, so you can just do 2 minus 3.25. And I'm going to do a little trick here. If you have a calculator that can do this, I'm going to do 3.25, and I'm going to store that as x. So now, 3.25, store as x. So now I can just do 2 minus x. I don't have to put the 3.25 each time because I'm going to do this a bunch of times. So 2 minus x, which is the 3.25, so that's negative. I'm going to go ahead and do all of this. So 3 minus x, 4 minus x, 5 minus x, and 6 minus x. You can put 3.25 if you want in there. So we start with negative 1.25. So negative 1.25, negative 0.25, and then we get 0.75, 0.75, and then we get 1.75, and then we get 2.75.
You done?
All right, and we don't need to sum those up. The next thing it says is we take each one of these deviations and then we're going to square them. So now we need to square each one of those values. Now remember, when you square a value, it always becomes positive because a negative times a negative is positive, and a positive times a positive is positive. Now when I put this in my calculator, if I were to put it in like this, negative 1.25, and then square it, it's going to give me a negative, and that's incorrect. And the reason it's doing that is because the way I put it in. Since I didn't put the negative 1.25 in parentheses, it's actually squaring it before it applies that negative, because order of operations has exponents before multiplication. So if I'm going to use the negative, I need to go ahead and put it in parentheses. So whenever you square or take any any negative number to a power, you always want to put it in parentheses. So that should be 1.5625. So 1.5625. All right, and then you're just going to do the same for the rest of those. So, and I'm not going to even put in the negative because remember, I'm going to get a positive anyway. So 0.25 squared, 0.75 squared, 1.75 squared, and 2.75 squared. All right, so I got 0.0625, 0.0625. Now this is a long problem. 0.5625, 0.5625. And then we've got 3.0625, 0.0625. And lastly, we've got 7.5625, 7.5625. All right, and then we're going to take each one of those values and we're going to multiply it by the frequency. So I'm going to take this value and multiply it by 3. This last one is going to be multiplied by 0. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my 0 in there. So let me give myself a little bit of room. So 1.5625 times that frequency. That's 4.6875. 4.6875. 4.6875. All right, and then we're going to do this times 4, so 0.0625 times 4. That's going to be 0.25. 25. And then we're going to have 0.5625 times that frequency of 4. 2.25, 2.25, and finally we're going to have 3.0625 times 1, which is that's going to be that same number there. 3.0625. Now we got to add all of those up to get that sum there, because we want, that's the summation of all of these things here. So I already have that in there, so I'm going to say plus 2.25 plus 0.25 plus 4.6875, and I get 10.25, 10.25. So this is a whole lot of work. So this is the top part of that S. So S is equal to, I can replace the whole top part of that with a 10.25. And the bottom with an n minus 1. That is 1 less than the sample size. Remember, that's the same as the total frequencies. So that's going to be 12 minus 1. Alright, so let's put this in our calculator, which is just 11. So when I put this in my calculator, I'm going to do the second square root of 10.25 divided by 11. And going out, we'll go out 3 decimal places here just to be on the safe side. 0.965. 0.965. That would be my standard deviation. Alright, so this is the whole process. It's long. I think when you actually work the problem, it's going to have you do one row at a time. So let me just quickly show you how to do that. So if you're to do one row, you just start with, as long as you first get that mean, so the 3.25, let me clear this out. So you would just multiply those two things together. So 2 times 3, you get the 6, and then you're going to do the x minus that. So then you would do the 2 minus 3.25 after you find that mean. Enter. And then you just square that, so you get the squared key, enter, and then you multiply that, and you can say times the frequency, and then you can easily get that last number, and you can do that for each row. Alright, I hope this helped. I know this is kind of a long problem to put in there, but if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks. And one last thing here too, I just put this in the, oops. I just put this in the answer in my math lab. They rounded these answers here, decimal places, here. So just kind of be aware of that you'll have to round to 3 decimal places for the product here. All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.